Hello and welcome to issue 4 of The Alchemy Spoon, the launch. Thank you so much from Mary Mulholland, Roger Bloor and myself for sending us so many poems. It's a real thrill to read them, and each time we've had an issue, there's been more and more poems, and we get really excited when they start coming in on the first of the month. The magazine is published through Clayhanger Press, and we're really excited to bring you this issue, which will be introduced by Sean O'Brien. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sean O'Brien. I've been asked to introduce this issue of The Alchemist's Spoon, and the issue is about the body, and the poem I'm going to read is called The Hand. It arises from a common complaint called Dupuytren's contracture, where the fingers are gradually clawed towards the palm of the hand. It's treatable but not curable, and experiencing this made me think about, I suppose, the relation between the self and the body. The hand. My good right hand, farewell to you. I must begin to take my leave, and will depart through your extremity. I cannot hold a friend's hand now, nor form a fist, nor open in a wave. They say the only remedies for what ails me are ailments too. They had to kill the hand they fought to save. Lie still and let me look at you. You seem unmoved. I am the one undone, and so let go of you, my hand. Although you still extend on my behalf, now that my grasp of you is gone, nothing remains to comprehend. Therefore I watch you endlessly for your resemblance to the real, and see the same smashed knuckle, the scarring, and the same club thumb, the inability to feel, made flesh but unequipped for rage or love. And yet you ache, as if with cold, as armour might, remembering its heartlessness, its iron fist, imprisoned in its iron glove.
The next poet to read is Judith Wozniak. Judith has an MA in writing poetry from Newcastle University and Poetry School, London. She's been published in a number of journals, and last year she won the Hippocrates Prize. Here's Judith.
Water therapy. She lowers him into warm water, cushions his head on her shoulder, cups his chin, murmurs close in, I'm here, I will hold you. His eyes tight shut, fists bunched, safe in her firm embrace. They move in deep, rocked gently on pleats of ripples. His broken body, buoyed up, loosens, sore limbs unfurl. She cradles the Pieta pale man draped in her arms. Stone still, they wait together until he floats free. Thank you.
Now we will hear from Neil Douglas. He's a doctor working in the East End. His poems have appeared in a number of journals, including The Alchemy Spoon, Ambit, Perverse, and These Are the Hands anthology. Thank you, Neil.
Nigella prepares a meatloaf. You will need stale or slightly stale bread, milk, garlic, grated pecorino, cayenne, Maldon salt, and 4 free-range eggs, a body of meat, an appropriately sized baking tin, a small handful of parsley. The eggs have no mouths. They cannot express anguish or sorrow. Cook them slowly on the hob with the skin of about 4 onions to give a rich reassurance of brown. The onions may make you cry, so instead you may wish to use the leaves of a used tea bag. Lapsang Souchong is my choice. The eggs have no eyes. They are hard-boiled. They will not weep. Peel them and press in a row along and into the length of the body. Line the baking tin with cling film. And yes, you can put cling film into the oven. Pack the body into the lined tin. If the body has been refrigerated, it may be stiff, and you will need to smooth down the top with a spatula. Arrange the other ingredients decorously, along with any mementos you may think appropriate. Throw in a small handful of parsley and wrap with whatever cling overhang you may have. Place into the oven. Try to forgive. Turn the knob to high, hang your apron on the pantry hook, leave unattended. Forget. You will not have any difficulty retrieving the shape of ashes. That is the beauty of cling film.
The next poet to read is Fran Fernandez Arce. Fran is a Chilean poet currently living in Suffolk. Her work has been published or is forthcoming in Pollux, Forge Zine and Epoch Press, amongst others. She's a poetry reader for the Walled City Journal and a poetry editor for Moonflake Press. Here's Fran.
Mummy Pearl. When I was little, I discovered names were also objects. My mother was a pearl, and I imagined her roundness covered by an ivory shine, her belly like vanilla sponge bathed in white ganache. Except my mother's skin is not that kind of chocolate. She's a cacao bean up down in South America, edible, digestible, bitter. Must be from all the coffee she's drunk. Spoonful of instant, 4 of sugar, only 2 fingers of boiling water, 1 big gulp right before going to sleep. Her cheeks, her hands are stained like the bottom of a cup that mocked Tezuma's golden one from where he took his hot cocoa 60 times a day. When I was little, my mother cooked with a smile, but always had a small appetite around dinner time, and I imagined she must have been stealing bits, bites and pieces as she served each plate. Today my mother does not like eating. The stomach of hers is not much. The rice and pasta bowls she concocts are the chores of motherhood. I imagine she did not eat much in her childhood. She does not even enjoy cake. Coffee is what she will have, that cup deeper than her belly. Yet her body, no larger than a cocoa bean up high over the treetops, is the extension of all of me. If my life were a room, she will be the carpet, the wallpaper, and the wirings tangled on the roof. She will be the stove at the end of the kitchen, the boiling pot, the grains of rice shining like pearls.
Julie Irigaray pamphlet, Whalers, Witches and Gauchos, was published this year by 9 Pens. Her poems have appeared internationally and in the UK in magazines such as Ambit, Magma and Stand. She was commended in the 2020 Ambit Magazine Poetry Prize and shortlisted for the White Review's Poets Prize 2019. Here she is.
Hi everyone, I'm going to read for you tonight the poem I Live in a Fat Lady. I live in a fat lady. I am a soul inhabiting a fat body. I rent the walls without interest. I would like to move out, but I can't afford a mortgage. I live in a fat lady. This is not how I feel inside. I am slim and I don't have knee problems. I can walk for 1 hour without my breath being taken away. I can go on holidays with my daughter again without being a burden. I live in a fat lady. This is not how I feel inside. My landlady should give me my deposit back. I didn't sign for this lease. True, I'm not the most respectful of tenants. I whitewashed the interior until it burned the framework. I had to stop, otherwise I would have been expelled for good. I live in a fat lady. This is not how I feel inside. Once, The roof was devastated by a hailstorm, and there wasn't a single tile left. But some neighbours helped find a carpenter, and that carpenter was me. The only time I enjoyed living here was when I had a roommate for 9 months. I tried all the diets and appetite suppressant pills possible, joined gym clubs and saw dietitians. I've only lost money. I live in a fat lady. This is not how I feel inside. Doctors have always encouraged my efforts. You lived in Southeast France in 1986. The Chernobyl cloud passed over the region. There's nothing you can do. Your thyroid is useless. Try to explain that to my husband. In the end, I chose a man who is even more overweight than me, so he cannot complain. He comes from a Mediterranean country, so I am to his taste. He says this is how women should be. Thank you very much for listening.
Julie Robic was born in India and now she lives in London. She's a poet, voice artist and puppeteer, designer and director. Her poems have appeared in the UK and the US. She has 2 collections, Swimming Through Marble and Lightfalls, both published by Live Canon. Here's Julie.
Hello, I'm Julie Robic. After words. She wants to float like a blimp over Brighton, tied with a glittering string to the pier. Dressed in a costume her curves can skin tighten, purple and gold, polka-dotted and sheer, with gigantic earrings that glint in the sunlight and joyfully jingle when touched by the breeze. She hopes that her generous outline can brighten up good things that happen in singles and threes and doubles with chasers and peanuts and pickled eggs, fish and chip suppers on newspaper waves, lapping around the feet rippled and tickled by heavenly sandwich board man Jesus saves. She'd much rather shimmy high over the town than lie down and rot in a hole in the ground.
Dominic Weston produces wildlife television programmes, runs over the Mendip Hills, and he writes poetry. His work often relates to family or the natural world, and it says here it's undercut by a healthy slick of darkness. His poems have appeared in Agenda, Black Bough magazine, Magma, The North, Under the Radar, and many other publications. Here's Dominic.
Hello, I'm Dominic Weston, and this is my poem, Rubber Lugs. Lime green rubber lugs watch me from a battered bag for life, slumped on the cold floor in the corner of the boiler cupboard, lopsided and lolloped by the bucket of lamb and rice dog kibble, sliding under a tide of wine bottles that won't fit in the recycling. Bear grip 200s, waiting for more than a year to run again. A discontinued dream, a super lightweight rubber lug chew, medial post removed for superior flex, the toe box not too tight. 2 foot gloves to be donned to treat the ground with due respect, to turn the pages of valleys, ridges, drove roads and green roads, to skedaddle down winter stream beds as they wake in the autumn. Rubber lugs like starfish suckers, examining limestone knuckles on outcrops, hilltops, through quarry bottoms that stop toe tips tainting the fantastic fabric of everything laid out beneath me, the superstratified patience and endeavour of prehistoric seas, reclassified as landscape, areas of outstanding natural beauty. Rubber lugs stare at me from the steel mouth of the kitchen bin. Emergency tango-toned baler twine repair still there after a year. Twice failed glue can't stop a separated soul lolling in a sly smile. Confetti of dried corn wool falls from the bag to settle around them. I don't want to push down the black plastic spring-loaded lid until It clicks. Thank you.
Now we have our spotlit poet for this edition, Sarah Watkinson. Sarah spent a career researching and teaching about the microscopic and molecular processes that make woods work. She enjoys the company of both scientists and poets. Her most recent books are The Fungi and Dung Beetles Navigate by Starlight. Thank you, Sarah.
Hello, I'm Sarah Watkinson, and thank you very much for this invitation to read. I'm absolutely delighted to be, as it were, here. And I want to read you two poems about the body. The first one is All One Breath, and it's a villanelle. A body's how a genome meets the world. The tree's an aqueduct from earth to sky. Light sang to the shoot, and the frond unfurled. Air's a strange country to the unborn child. Our first drawn breaths exhaled upon a cry. The body, a new genome in the world. Power swells in the plant cell, tight-walled. Stems hunt the sun, the dark side giving way. Light sings the shoots up, and their fronds unfold. Life on land is tensioned by Earth's hold. Braced and guided by her gravity, each species fits a genome to the world. Leaf to leaf, our crops have tiled the field to harvest every photon from the day. As light hits each new shoot, new layers unfold. All that humans are, the trees foretold, mind and soul and hand and heart and eye. A body shows a genome to the world. Light sang to the shoot, and endless forms unfurled. The second was inspired by the experience that I think we've all had of going to the doctors, and they give you some rather unnerving diagnosis, and then they send you away with a little leaflet, which has always got a sort of a rather cosy, encouraging tone, which is rather easy to parody. Daphne got changed into a tree. She changed herself into a tree to avoid a predatory rapist god who was chasing her. And there's a marvellous statue of this. So what would it feel like to be Daphne, and how would you feel changing into a tree? So this is called NHS Fact Sheet, Metamorphosis for Daphne. What is it? Metamorphosis is a natural process. Your body changes in ways that nature has designed to protect you. You become shielded from certain vulnerabilities common to women. As a tree, you cannot get pregnant. The rhythm of your body becomes seasonal, not monthly. What happens? At the onset, you will notice your legs start to feel stronger and less restless. A sense of calm is typical. Women report relief from symptoms of panic, such as hyperventilation and rapidly beating pulse. The experience can be described as a sense of becoming more grounded. Some trembling in your extremities may persist, but this is not an unpleasant sensation, more a gentle excitement like the joy of a spring morning. Metamorphosis is nothing to be ashamed of. In fact, it is a process most commonly experienced by younger and more active women. How your body benefits. Once stabilized, you will discover that your body has acquired new abilities. No need for food shopping. Your tissues can now make all the carbohydrate you need and more to spare from air. You cannot get fat, only stronger and more productive. Trees experience no eating disorders. All you need do to promote metabolism is relax and spread your limbs in the sunshine, quietly gaining energy, while your old-shaped friends hurry by on their crowded daily commute. Life afterwards. People talk of trees threshing and waving. It sounds like hard work, but it isn't. All that energy comes from the wind, not you. And you needn't worry that metamorphosis will take away your individuality. No two trees are the same, and every kind moves in its own special way. Slender stems sway and swish, strong limbs give you enviable structure, and your core is continually hydrated with pure filtered groundwater. Your future can be bright. Remember, most trees live far longer than men or women. Living in a wood can be a good plan. A well-established wood can provide the connected infrastructure to link old and young in mutually supportive mixed communities. Thank you very much.
Tessa Foley is a poet whose work explores feminism, sexuality and the rejection of normalcy. Her debut poetry collection, Chalet Between Thick Ears, was published by Live Canon in 2018. She's recently been recognised in the Ware Poets Competition, Sharrow Prize and Canterbury Festival Poet of the Year. Her new collection, What Sort of Bird Are You?, was launched by Live Canon in May 2021. Tessa Foley.
Modern girls. She slathers walls, liver-drawn graphs, her hands on her thighs, sagging beige upon spiralling zest. Pink knickers with accents fall out of her drawers. She is named Whore for feeling a cop, the agent that raised expectations from cakes. The more fatty, the batty, the more spashed up her plates. She's the closest trimmed garden under a greeny belt rise, a bell trapped in the jar as she's buttering flies. She swerves best her age, she outweights her weight, thumbprints on her back, all donate her away. Acrylics too long to make her own punch. For lunch, it's a razor, swoosh clink in a tumbler, a celeriac sex act for afters, then birth. She walks on the walls, clicky-tack, seeing herself as the body below. Why no, she's still got it. Gruntathon in the bar.
Estelle Price is the winner of the 2018 Book of Kells writing competition, and her poetry has been placed or listed in the National Poetry Competition, the Bridport Prize, Welsh Pool, Much Wenlock, the London Magazine and other poetry competitions. Her poems have appeared in journals including Poetry Wales, The Lake, Marble Poetry and Stony Thursday Book. Estelle Price.
By the book. After they had blazed past the point of no return, they lay like two used matchsticks put back in the box. He wanted her to turn, be moored to his chest, but the book said to stay 30 minutes flat, a pillow under her back. In those sealed-in moments, she liked to imagine the journey inside her, the wild swim through the barrier-free crevices, a shoal of infant fish streaming to the line. Sometimes they talked, she murmuring what it would mean to give birth, or hear a cry in the dark. Mostly she preferred to ingest the silence, as if by perfecting the quiet, allowing it to settle like fear after an argument, she could will a baby into being. Then he would turn, whisper he'd fetch tea, tiptoe downstairs to wait out the time in the garden, leant against the bins, a secret cigarette becoming ash in his lips.
Julian Bishop is a former television journalist living in North London. A former runner-up in the Ginkgo Prize, he's also been shortlisted for the Bridport Prize and was long-listed in this year's National Poetry Competition. He won the 2021 Poets and Players Competition judged by Sean Hewitt with his poem Sitting for Caravaggio. Julian Bishop.
The Sandpaper Library. Imagine there being no spines, only the rough pages. From top to toe, everything between the four walls, sorted and graded, according to ability to erase, erode, or simply be abrasive. Wear away an undesirable part by choosing a pad coated in sharp sandy particles, from coarse to superfine, numbered from 40 to a maximum of 600. Small imperfections might call for garnet, ground to a pink on paper to accomplish a sleeker effect. Then go through the grits to diamond on vulcanized fibre. The harder the backing, the faster the sanding. Watch as every defect or flaw of your chosen body is rubbed away to dust, to leave a dull finish, smooth as the surface of a marriage.
Miri Glasson-Darling recently moved from Alaska to Glasgow. She's received an AWP Intro to Journals Award, a Pushcart nomination, and her work has appeared in Florida Review, Gulf Coast, Willow Springs, Crab Orchard Review, The Pinch, Passages North, South Dakota Review, and Mid-American Review, and many others. Miri Glasson-Darling.
Teacher, what would you like to be in the future? Student, I want to be a bakery. Do you mean to marry a baker? No, teacher. I want to be a bakery. Teacher, I want to be bread. I want to be a bomb. I want to be the bomb sound. But a sound is not a person. Then I will become a hare. My smoke blue blood combed out over wheat, over stepping stone trellises. You can step over trellises if they are made in fields of rice. Do you mean to say terraces? No, but for you I will say climb, through the ribbons of the bakery, smoke steeping in my hair. You have forgotten how a field can bear fruit, how ribbons turn to bloodwork lattices, twisting like braids of bread in our hands, but that time is past. We must learn now to be sound, a red comb of smoke, blue stones stepping into air.
Tony Hendry turned to poetry after retirement in 2014. His poems have appeared in magazines including Agenda, Acumen and The North. His pamphlet Fresh Air was published by Chaldean Press in 2019. After a career in London, he settled in Carlisle and is active in Cumbria's lively poetry community. Tony Hendry. Mary Cunningham, recently selected for the 2021-22 cohort of the Writing West Midlands Room 204 development programme, is an emerging writer from Shropshire. She writes poems for the page and the stage and performs regularly at Shrewsbury Poetry and Manchester Speakeasy. Mary Cunningham.
Speed the journey. For 5 nights on the ward he was a lucky archaeologist. One strike of a pick got him to the dead level. By a miracle the bodies and grave goods were intact as on burial day. Neolithic on the first night, a woman lay with otter pelts, amber necklace, whetstone, flint tools to cut and scrape, catgut thread and lock of hair, maybe from her man or child. On the second, a Greek soldier, bronze-rimmed hoplon shield, bone dice, spear with iron head, and an amulet of green jasper, maybe, no for sure, a gift from his bride at their wedding. A Tudor woman on the third, ivory comb, lead spindle whorl, shawls of infants gone before, and the simnel cake she'd made for Easter Day, before plague sidled into the house again. The fourth, a forgotten despot, gold right on with lion's head, placatory wine to pour from it, rubies, silk carpets, evil eyes in blue glass, strangled slaves. Wake up, back to the ward. The fifth night he met himself. Tape mix from their courtship, flash drive with all their photos, and a greying lock of her hair. Like all the others, except one, love would speed the journey.
Mary Cunningham, recently selected for the 2021-22 cohort of the Writing West Midlands Room 204 development programme, is an emerging writer from Shropshire. She writes poems for the page and the stage and performs regularly at Shrewsbury Poetry and Manchester Speakeasy. Mary Cunningham.
The Light Eater. 2 weeks after the first day at school, I hadn't spoken. Didn't know how to talk to girls. Did I pick her? The one that looked most like a boy. Lean, athletic, cropped hair. I remember the swagger and laugh of a film star. Twitchy mouth. More talk than the teachers preferred. That first image. And this one. Her in a 3-seater. Standing. My brother's shining a torch on the wall behind the sofa. Her jumping to catch the light beam. A silhouette on a stage set. The Kodak in the curve of lip, arc of wrist, snap of neck to the next spot, display of fingers on leatherette.
It's now my pleasure to introduce 7 more wonderful poets. Sue Wood taught in Australia, South Africa and UK. Published widely in magazines and anthologies, she won the Poetry Business Book and Pamphlet Competition, Oxford Literature Festival and the Cinnamon Press Poetry Award, which led to her first collection, Imagine Yourself to be Water, published by Cinnamon Press in 2010. She lives near Oxford with 2 performing cats. Sue Wood.
I'm Sue Wood. The Glass Piano, written after Princess Alexandra Amalia, daughter of King Ludwig I of Bavaria, whose illness gave her the delusion of carrying a glass piano inside her body. Her breath is a metronome. She breathes 4 beats out, feels the bar ending. The trapped bird in her throat rises and falls while her body taps on, precise, enmeshed. She worries about sleep, eating, the coarse indelicacy of defecating, while the piano inside her heaves up its great glass lid, bangs shut as if it could flounce off. Maestro, incubus, child. Once she was a princess, above her the fairy towers, her father's castle a story untold. She might have thrown a golden ball, unfrocked a toad, and yet her father smirked, unwashed, in the maid's bed. She opened her mouth, there was no song, no cry loud enough, and yet within she felt the knot of glass unfurl, kick staccato until its notes ran arpeggios up and down her spine. Now she cradles the piano widthwise, resting it on each hip bone. Beneath her crinoline it balances as light as the bubble in a spirit level. We meet her on the stairs, moving sideways, hand over her stomach, holding close her vast consummation of glass and silence. She says she hears no music, only a shriek, flesh moving endlessly against glass.
Imogen Forster lives and works in Edinburgh. She returned to poetry 10 years ago after a long absence and completed an MA in writing poetry at Newcastle University. Her pamphlet, The Grass Boat, was published this year by Mariscat Press, and she is preparing a full collection. Imogen Forster.
Quinces, a love story. There they sit, nested in crisp white paper, heart-shaped, their waxy skins unblemished. A map that says they came here from Peru, not from Turkey then. These are not the fat Iva whose stone-hard flesh you bit into with your fearless teeth. You were hard too, wanted your own way, wouldn't wait for them to soften in the battered pan to make that sweet paste we ate with salty cheese. Poured another glass and cooked your beans. On a good day, we went to buy bread, and you handed me a new word, ekmek. The baker was Ekmekci, with his black moustache and the little label, a pledge, stuck to the bottom of his loaves. Kush, the bird, Balak, the fish. We learned the dentals, the plosives, the labials, practiced kissing. Played with words as if they were pieces in a children's game. Kayakçı, the boatman, Mumcu, the candle maker, Çiçekçi, the florist. Pledges were not enough when we saw the bruises flowering on your skin, watched your flesh shrink, your body fill until you drowned. Ayvayı yemek, they say. Eat the quince. Nothing good will come of it.
Emma Simon has published 2 pamphlets, The Odds with Smith Doorstop and Dragonish through the Emma Press. She's been widely published in magazines and anthologies and has previously won both the Ver Poets and Prole Laureate prizes. In 2020, she was runner-up in the Keats Shelley Poetry Prize. Emma Simon.
Kintsugi Girl. Sometimes I still feel the joins, ill-fitting tiles inside my head that shattered once into a world of dark Picassos, now sugar-glued in place. When angled to a mirror, I trace the crazy paving seams. My hunched and haunted look dissolved by liquid sweeties, poured around a knuckled spine to make the body softer, warmer. The wasted thigh sticks stuck together into something solid, sturdier. These worn teeth wear their silver well. In certain lights, I've swallowed whole the mantras that they gave me. Believe I am now fixed, complete, a jigsaw puzzle solved. Although within there are dark spaces that still feel the cold, the hairline cracks that dream of thin.
Alexandra Corin-Tachibana came to writing poetry in 2017, in her 40s. In 2020, she came third in the Oxford Brookes International Poetry Competition and was shortlisted for the 2021 Fish Prize. Recent work has appeared or is forthcoming in The North, The Moth, The Frogmore Papers and Artemis. Alexandra Corin-Tachibana.
Japanese bathing etiquette. I sit on a piece of pink plastic the size of a potty, scrub my entire body. The naked Japanese women sit beside me in rows, breasts and bottoms, Mongolian spots like little bruises on their bum cheeks. We move from boiling springs to freezing springs to open air. Yumi, a snack bar hostess, goes daily to sweat out the alcohol. But there's nothing like a kirin in your yukata gown after a bath. Yet tonight it is different. Two Obasan stand on the side of the centaur, trying to break me. Deite kudasai, deite kudasai. I sit in a steaming pool. I don't want to leave. I don't understand, I say in English. I am the only gaijin. The white uniformed women waited out till I emerged to grab my modesty towel. I've broken bathing rules posted in the changing room lockers because of the tiny snake tattoo on my left buttock.
Matthew Paul lives in Rotherham. His poetry collection, The Evening Entertainment, was published by Iware in 2017, and his two collections of haiku, The Lamaslands and The Regulars, were published by Snapshot Press in 2015 and 26. He regularly reviews poetry pamphlets for Sphinx and blogs at matthewpaulpoetry.blog. Matthew Paul.
The Cabbage Harvest. Halfway up the back road to Lee, under hard bastard leaden skies, two wind-rounded labourers squeeze the heads to test maturity. Decide the time is ripe before storm Liza breaks, to lop them free from the stalk base and rapidly cram the lot into sacks galore, spread-eagling their fingers and palms across the lumps as if they've topped the gangmaster and roughly chopped his carcass like it's lemon balm.
M. Zeffirino Spring of Southwest Oregon is the author of 4 poetry books and 1 children's book. In 2016, he won a Luso-American Fellowship from Disquiet International. His poetry books have won several awards, including the Turtle Island Poetry Award and an honourable mention for the Eric Hoffer Book Award. His poems have appeared in numerous publications, including Atlanta Review, Crannog, Flyway, Midwest Quarterly, Poetry New Zealand, and Spillway. He's poetry editor for the Pedestal magazine and Flowstone Press. M. Zeffirino Spring.
The cry of her child rose. By the time Pope Joan revealed she was a she had already broken open. 1,000 pigeons feathered the sky, too late for the stunned cardinals to hide her. During the procession, her sky blue robe collapsed, placenta and amniotic fluid pooled on the garden path. St. Peter's Cathedral opened her eyes. Pope John is Pope Joan. Pope Joan is a mother. The sun flipped like a tossed coin. Electricity sizzled in the clouds.
Mike Farron's poems have appeared widely and have won prizes in Poem of the North and Saltaire and Ilkley festivals, as well as being placed and commended elsewhere. His pamphlets are Piero and His Mother, Templar Press, All of the Moons, Yaffle, and Smithereens, Forward. He co-hosts Rhubarb Open Mic. Mike Farron.
Hollow Bones. When we visited your house, you gave us tea. Your cat brought us a sparrow. One wing hung useless, still alive but stiff with shock. She placed it on your rug, nuzzling my calf. There was a beat before you clapped your hands and shushed her from the room. The sparrow shook. You couldn't bear to touch it. Told me it was me who had to put it out of its misery. Drown it, you said. It filled the washing bowl. It felt absurd and cruel, but you seemed to know what you were doing. I held it under water, and all along I felt its hollow bones aspiring up toward the air, its song sputtering to silence.
Thanks to all the poets who've read tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. The next submission window opens on the 1st of October, and this time you can send us poems on any subject. Please flood us with your work. We would really love that. Thanks so much, and good night.
Thank you.